Police were caught on film standing around with their hands in their pockets for more than 2 hours and nicely asking climate anarchists who set up roadblocks on 3 motorways during rush hour today if they were in discomfort or needed anything amid travel chaos on the M25, A3 and Dartford crossing. The failure by officers to clear Insulate Britain protesters for 2.5 hours sparked fury as a video emerged of a female officer telling them, "If any of you have any questions, or are in any discomfort or need anything, just let us know," while stricken motorists couldn't get to work, hospitals and appointments. Another video showed an officer on his own and being met with silence after asking the demonstrators which of them had organized today's protest. He then told them, "I'm going to have to ask you to move," before awkwardly leaving. Meanwhile, police had to restrain incensed truck drivers who desperately tried to move eco-warriors who had glued their hands to the road. Home Secretary Priti Patel, who has previously condemned similar protests on Twitter, has so far remained silent over today's events. However, Business Secretary Kwasi Kwarteng tweeted, "These actions are not only highly disruptive to those going to work and transporting vital goods, but are putting lives at risk on a busy motorway. Not to mention the resulting traffic delays will only add to vehicle emissions." Demonstrators from the Extinction Rebellion offshoot protest group halted traffic near Junction 23 at South Mims from 8 a.m. while another group shut down the main carriageway of the M25 anti-clockwise in Surrey between Junction 10 and Junction 8. A 50-year-old woman was airlifted to hospital with serious injuries following a crash at Junction 9 involving multiple vehicles. In a statement, Surrey Police said the investigation is ongoing and that it is too early to know if the crash was caused by the protest. Traffic monitor INRIX said at around 2 p.m. that there was a 6-mile traffic queue on the M25 following the accident. A third group glued their hands to the road on Junction 1B near the Dartford crossing. Demos also took place at Junction 25 on the M25, the A10 in Hertfordshire and Junction 10 of the A3 in Surrey. By around 9:30 a.m., the group had blocked traffic in 5 locations. Police have made a total of 71 arrests, including the rearrest of some of Monday's protesters. However, furious Conservative MPs Ian Liddell-Granger and Craig McKinley slammed police for standing around for hours at a time before doing anything and urged officers to use the powers available to them to clear this protest immediately. One activist involved in Monday's demo even boasted to Nick Ferrari on LBC he had been released by police and not prevented from protesting today. He went on to compare his cause to those of Martin Luther King, the suffragettes and Mahatma Gandhi. Mr. Liddell-Granger backed much tougher sentences for arrogant and stuck-up climate anarchists who cause immense harm to people's lives and livelihoods. Though most of the activists who brought the M25 to a standstill 3 days ago have been arrested for the crime of blocking a public highway, which carries a maximum penalty of £1,000, they will be fined just a fifth of that because it was a first offence. They should have a criminal record and everybody should be made aware of the damage and misery they cause, Mr. Liddell-Granger raged. Their whole plan, of sowing chaos to our lives in this way, just won't fly with the British public because they don't kowtow to bullies. They cannot be allowed to hijack the conversation by threatening to destroy livelihoods if they don't get their own way. If they have a grievance, they should take it up with their Member of Parliament in the lawful, peaceful way. They can't just throw a tantrum and sit in the road at whatever cost to other people. If they can't be adults in this conversation, they shouldn't be in the conversation at all. As the climate anarchists brought traffic to a standstill today, Mr. McKinley told Mail Online, the M25 is one of the busiest roads in the country and a key artery powering the economy of London and the South East. It is little wonder that this new group, Insulate Britain, have chosen it for the pathetic protest. Putting aside the fact that the government hasn't in allocating more grant funding for the measures they are campaigning for than ever before is obviously lost on them. As a splinter group of other organizations with Marxist overtones, the true nature of their protest is obvious. The police must use the powers available to them to clear this protest immediately, and the courts should use their powers to grant compensation to the public and businesses affected, taking protesters to bankruptcy as necessary. MP Andrew Bridgen slammed the extremely irresponsible demonstrators, saying, "They are putting people's livelihoods and indeed lives at risk through their reckless behavior. They don't actually care about what's good for the general public and they are little more than anarchists." James Gray added, "It's a scandal and bad manners. I have long struggled for people's rights to protest peacefully, but they must not deny the freedoms of other people. If activists stop people on the M25 from getting into work or prevent journalists from going to their offices, then they are disrupting the nation. That is wrong, and they should not be allowed to get away with that." Protesters held signs which said sorry for the disruption as they clashed with drivers stuck in the queue. One motorist told LBC, "They are working against themselves," while others screamed abuse, telling the activists, "We'll lose our jobs." One could be heard calling them F***king scumbags. Insulate Britain, which is demanding government action on home insulation, tweeted, #Insulate Britain are back. At Boris Johnson, can you hear us yet? However, president of motoring insurance group AA, Edmund King, said that during the last Insulate Britain blockade, a thermal insulation engineer was prevented from going to work after being stuck in the traffic queue. On Wednesday he said, "Whilst most people understand the need to take action on climate change, these motorway blockade tactics are just backfiring as they are alienating the working public stuck in this chaos and subsequently pumping out more emissions. It is somewhat ironic that thermal insulation engineers trying to insulate Britain were stuck in the congestion caused by Insulate Britain. Essential deliveries, emergency services, people missing hospital and business appointments are all hit by these blockades. Hopefully the police will take immediate action to unblock the arteries of Britain." A Hertfordshire police spokesman said, "We are currently dealing with an incident near Junction 1 of the A1M southbound. Officers are at the scene, the road has been closed and as a result there is some traffic congestion. Motorists are asked to please avoid the area where possible."